In today's video, we're going to be taking a look here at the tropics where things are heating up a little bit more since we even just talked yesterday. We're going to be taking a look at the upcoming pattern as we always do, where the upcoming pattern kind of looks a little bit different. It obviously evolves every single day when we take a look at these videos because you're one day more in advance. We have one day further into the model run. One day is gone now on the back end, of course, that being yesterday in this case. And things just look a lot different, and I'm very excited to go over it with you guys. Before we do so, though, we do need to talk about Prestige Weather, my other business where we have early access to our monthly and seasonal forecasts, weekly consulting calls, and more things coming up in the future that are even cooler, in my opinion. So we're really excited about all of that. It's only $5 a month. Be sure to check it out in the pinned comment and description down below. Let's get right into things, and we are taking a look here at the tropics where we do have Tropical Storm Dawn, and we have had this one for quite a while. This has been a lingerer. We have 1,002 millibars now, which is actually quite strong. 50 miles per hour, which again is also quite strong. And then to the south here, near the Southern Caribbean, actually, is where it's going to be heading from our MDR. So that's short for Main Development Region. And this is kind of coming in on a more southern trajectory than you'd usually want to see from something that's going to develop into something more. So in this context, this is what you would want to see because it's heading into more of a suppression zone. But we can see that the percentages have gone up. It's off screen right now, but it says formation chance through 48 hours is medium at 40% chance, and formation chance through 7 days is medium at 60%. So that is increasing drastically from yesterday even, or obviously all of the days before, seeing a pretty decent chance of development. Now, I'm kind of worried that this one is going to become very suppressed, like South America suppressed. And usually that is not something that is going to lead towards much development. If it does go on the very northern side of this, though, and it's right around that 15 north line there, which is right here where I'm moving my mouse, that is going to be a lot more favorable than, let's say, if it was a lot closer to this 10-degree north line right here. That would be definitely a lot different. So that is going to make all the difference. If it's on the northern side of this bubble or the southern side, that is a world's difference in the development chance and really the future chance of this one to do much of anything. So that is what we're going to be tracking over the coming days together very closely. As we take a look here at the cone forecast, you can see that this one, Dawn at least, expects to remain a tropical storm until 8 a.m. on Sunday. Actually getting very close there to Newfoundland. Definitely going to bring some waves, some cloudiness, some rainfall, so there will be some impacts. It does move over into post-tropical cyclone status as a tropical storm strength right around when that would be happening. And then post-tropical depression by 8 a.m. on Monday, at least according to the National Hurricane Center. So some big changes on the way for this one. Definitely going to be in a decreasing intensity, especially with that northern turn. It's going to be moving towards less favorable waters, of course, and we can expect some lowering of that intensity over time. Now, I am curious if this one will do another loop. I'm really cheering for that because that would be kind of a first for me to see that double loop. The loop is already crazy enough, but to do it twice would be absolutely crazy. So definitely some things to watch for in the future. By later this afternoon into this evening, this video is going to be out a little bit late, so you're probably going to be watching it by this evening, but 1,002 millibar low pressure center there, kind of north of New York there in eastern Canada. And this is bringing impacts to mostly New England, but also, again, New York. We can see New Jersey also receiving some thunderstorm activity with this low overhead. We do see 1,004 here over south central Canada, and that is bringing some thunderstorms there to a lot of those provinces up there. And then we could see that for the western parts of Canada, we have some more storminess. So really, it's Canada that is taking the most of the brunt here from these storm systems. We can see for areas in the deeper south here from Kansas through Missouri, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, and Florida. We're seeing plenty of these thunderstorms developing. And then we can see for Florida, we have that daily thunderstorm activity still ongoing. Now, as we take a look at Saturday, and this is going to be for July 22nd here, we could see for areas in Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, South Carolina, Florida, again, dealing with these thunderstorms. A little bit more here than what you typically see on the day-to-day, so I'm not going to call this the average day-to-day thunderstorms that you usually expect to see. This is certainly a step above that, and a little bit more of an organized system is what I would say. It really does have that kind of a feel. So that is my thoughts at this point. We can also see that there's 1,000 millibar low pressure center here, and this has a cold front underneath that is leading towards some thunderstorm activity for a lot of southern Canada, as well as the upper Midwest there in the United States, so impacting those areas. We still see 1,004 millibar low pressure center here over eastern Canada, and this is still bringing thunderstorms around that area as well. So many different things going on for the day tomorrow on Saturday. For Sunday, the 23rd here, this is what we're dealing with, the upper Midwest and Great Lakes. We see thunderstorm activity from Minnesota, Wisconsin, Michigan, Indiana, Ohio. Definitely seeing some activity there. And then across the southeast and deeper south, we can see some thunderstorms ongoing for this area as well. So definitely due to this jet stream look, because we have something like this going on. This is bringing some marginally cold air into the eastern United States. That's probably the best way to put it, marginally cold air, because it's not going to be necessarily actually cold. It's just cold for this time of year. And what this does is it kind of latches on with this Gulf moisture and it rides with that jet stream. So that's why we see a flow like this with those storms riding right up the coast. Pretty interesting pattern there. Very, very easy to predict. Because of that jet stream carrying everything along. For Monday, again, we're going to use the jet stream context here. It gets a little bit loose here in the east, but something like that is what you'd expect to see. So we still have this little bit of a flow, and then it does ride along like this. And this leads towards overall some storminess here for a lot of the eastern United States on this day for Monday the 24th. So we will be watching very, very closely for that. We do have this high pressure system here over Colorado, and overall a ridge is what you're looking at for a lot of the west there. By the time we reach Tuesday here on the 25th, same-ish story. We see the Ohio Valley into the northeast, some thunderstorms. We do have a 998 millibar low pressure center there over kind of central western Canada there. And this is bringing a lot of Canadian thunderstorms to these areas. And still a very stormy time here in eastern Canada, as you can see as well. So Canada, really, really stormy, guys, up there. We can see by Wednesday, I want to start introducing Canada to the forecast more. I do see you guys' comments, so that's why I'm trying to kind of give the outlook for you guys as well. The good news is that like 90% of or more of Canadians live within this region that we can see here, so it makes it very, very easy. We have two low pressure systems here over, you guessed it, Canada. 1,004, 1,000, and then we actually have this 1,006 over here as well. These ones are kind of connected, as you can see. The thunderstorms don't really stop and then start again. It's all just continuous. And then there in the east, we could see a bigger system there leading towards more thunderstorms for those areas as well. We do see the United States receiving some impacts like the Dakotas, here over the northeast as well there on Wednesday. So definitely very impactful. It's just Canada is dealing with more of that activity actually than most areas. Friday here evening on the 28th, we could see a lot of the east here dealing with some thunderstorms, and then also a lot of the northern plains there like Kansas, Nebraska, South Dakota, Minnesota, Iowa especially. We're seeing a lot of this activity there as well. By later on Saturday here, we could see again the east and the kind of Midwest and Ohio Valley is the highlight here. We could see for Missouri, Iowa, Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, New York, New England, Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, and all the way down through Florida as well. This is where we're seeing a lot of the thunderstorm activity. Something interesting here, we do have it low developing over the United States there in Wyoming, actually, 1,005 millibar low pressure center. A little bit of a warm front kind of trying to develop here. We do see some warm air surging into the plains at this point. And then we see a little bit of a cold front perhaps. So let's see what happens over the next couple of frames. And it really dies down, I'm not going to lie. We see that it really breaks up, and we do still see some thunderstorms around, but it never becomes a really big system like it has the potential to do. So we see that this kind of just fizzles out. By the time we are taking a look at this frame as well, we see the Northeast, Ohio Valley, and Mid-Atlantic dealing with some pretty heavy thunderstorms, especially in Ohio, Kentucky, Indiana, West Virginia, Pennsylvania, Maryland, Delmarva, New Jersey, New York. So these are going to be the areas we're watching for around the end of July timeframe here, about the 31st, for those thunderstorms. As we take a look at the total precipitation, we can see across the south, we see pretty average amounts. I mean, maybe slightly above average in some of those reds, but pretty average. I'd say the area we're watching for the most above average in the United States, at least, is this Ohio Valley into the northeast area that I circled here. And then for Canada, I mean, you can see a stretch right here. Basically, all these areas here is where we're looking at above average precipitation by far. I mean, these are significantly above average areas, in the reds being anywhere from about 2 to 5 inches above average, or better yet, 2 to 5 inches in general, which is above average for a 10-day period. Even some of those browns popping up there in British Columbia here, northern British Columbia. And then we can see on the very eastern parts of Canada, there's a couple areas dealing with these kind of grayish browns, and those are going to be amounts that total above 5 inches, which is certainly above average, especially up there in Canada. So really, really active overall. We can see that as we take a look at the very just upcoming days this weekend, we do see this cooler, more mild pattern set in for the east. This is what we've been talking about for weeks now, is this type of stuff that keeps trying to happen. We do, by this point, still have that positive P&A taking place. So we see this, and we see that the warmth wants to head eastward, and that cool air kind of fizzles back down into the west and funnels in. So we end up seeing a jet stream a little bit like this, which is a traditional kind of heat wave pattern in the east in general. The northern areas, especially, they're dealing with temperatures 10 to 15 degrees above normal. It's a pretty significant amount above average there. But what we see happen over time is this cold air actually wants to funnel back in through the northeast. So we see this kind of taking place. So this Canadian Arctic air kind of moving in through the northeast. And then we see the warming back of the west, which brings us back into that positive P&A pattern. I know I'm going to get so many comments about the thumbnail today because I don't really know what it's going to be, but it's almost always taken out of context. And the context is the video. So if you don't watch the video, you don't really know what the thumbnail means, basically. Because if the thumbnail had the answer, why are you watching my video? You know what I mean? You just look at the thumbnail and move on. But the idea is to not have thumbnails that do that. Otherwise, you know, I don't get views, and that's my life. That is my work. So I hope it's reasonable. I think that's pretty understandable. But yeah, positive P&A pattern kind of returning here for early August, perhaps. I mean, it is pretty long range, and we see this funnel's actually pretty far down into the mid-Atlantic by the time we're reaching about the 5th. So we'll have to see. Only time can tell. But pretty positive P&A pattern setting back in, which stands for Pacific North American Oscillation, by the way. Or Pacific North America. Yeah, it does stand for that, but it doesn't have the O in it. It's Pacific North America, or Pacific North American, I guess is what PNA stands for, but it is an oscillation, so it should be PNAO, technically, but whatever. We can't pick and choose, right? So we see warmer temperatures in the west is what that means, basically. And what this does is it creates this big ridge, and it causes this cold air to kind of pour down on the eastern end of things, and that is exactly what we see here. So we'll have to watch and see what happens over the coming days, how this trends. I encourage you to keep up to date with us because we're going to continue to track this, and always we will do this because there is daily uploads. So through the fall, through the winter, through the spring, through the summer, we're going to be with you guys. So be sure to subscribe. We do upload every single day, like I've mentioned. Also hit the bell icon for daily notifications when we upload. Be sure to like the video if you did enjoy it. Leave a comment down below, and I will see you guys in the next video.